Alright, so this is going to be a review of Predator, The Bloody Sands of Time. Now, this is one of the many comics I got at MegaCon, and yeah, I got this for about $5, and it's a comic I really was interested at the time before reading it. And yeah, this was about $5. It's a two-part story. It's really, yeah, a very short story, but apparently a lot of people have said that it's a really well-done comic. Well, I don't think it's one of the most epic Predator comics. I do think it's really good, but I do have some problems with it, and it's mostly the ending. The ending is where I have the biggest problem. But some people have said that it delves more into the Predator Dark Horse comics because it does bring up some continuities in later on in other comics. But for right now, let's kind of talk about the comic as it is. Now, like I said, this is a two-part comic written by Dan Barry, and the story is that a soldier coming back from the only survivor of a special ops mission has been arrested by the government after quintessentially a Predator killed the rest of his team and everyone that they were supposed to take out, and now it's a cover-up, and he's being put on trial for it to cover up the Predator's existence. So he has a lawyer with him, appointed to him, named Griggs, he looks like an overweight Gordon, really. And in the story, Griggs, to prove his innocence, delves deeper into the Predator background. Now, if you guys remember in Predator 2, it's talked about how Predators are, attracted to heat and conflict. So in this story, he starts digging back into all the little conflicts of it, and his super hot his super hot wife, Gwen, they draw her perfectly, and I'm going to say it right here, this comic is not for kids for multiple reasons, one of them being boobies. Yeah. So you do get boobs in a Predator comic. I know, shocking, boobs in Predator. We haven't seen that since Predator 2, and maybe some other comics. Anyway, so getting back to this, it does real quick go into Vietnam, but it mostly focuses on a report of a French officer named Bernard from his notes talking about these demons he encountered during World War I. Yeah, most of this takes place during World War I, and, well, the flashbacks do anyway, and we follow this French officer who's trying to piece together these creatures he keeps seeing, and yeah, of course, it's Predators. What do you expect? It's Predators. So, the story is very well done, but the problem is, the big problem I have with this comic is that I feel like it should have been at least one more issue. It should have been one more issue, because the thing about this is that it's not a prestige comic. This is not a prestige 48-page comic for each 2 issues. It's not like with what I'm going to talk about with Batman vs. Alien, where I felt like the 2 issues really did feel like it was self-contained. This felt like it should have been one more issue, because it just kind of ends with Griggs opening up this case he gets from Bernard's belongings during the war, and in there it stops right when he finds the Predator helmet. And also he discovers that the guy he's trying to defend hangs himself. But yeah, I feel like it should have been one more issue of him delving deeper into it, and maybe deeper into this conspiracy. But I am told that he does show up in this. Apparently he shows up in several other Predator comics. I don't know for sure. If anyone's read more of the Predator comics, because they are hard to find outside of the expensive omnibuses, but if anyone knows for sure, please let me know in the comments below if you've read, seen him in other Predator comics from Dark Horse. Now, the big thing with this Predator comic is that this feels like something from Tales of the Crypt, and it's kind of funny because when Griggs is reading the reports, he's like, God, this is like something out of Tales of the Crypt. And that's the thing, is that this feels like a horror comic. This doesn't feel like an adventure comic, because this comic it's drawn, the artist, Chris Walker, I think his name is. The artist draws this like a Tales from the Crypt comic. The Predator facial features are very demonic looking than they usually are. There's a lot of extensive blood and gore in here, and the art and some of the people how they're drawn feels like something out of the classic Tales of the Crypt comic. So yeah, this feels more perpetually like a horror comic than it does a Predator comic that a Predator that's more action adventure. This is more, war was hell. World War I was just absolute hell, and they really illustrate that in some scenes. And I think it's really cool that we're following a French officer rather than, the typical American. Not to say anything's wrong with the American officers, but I kind of like it how we get to see perspective from other nationalities and what they think of the Predator. Because it wasn't just, Predators weren't just hunting us as, American citizens. They were hunting everybody. So this does really delve deep into that. We do get to see the horrors of World War I from this Bernard guy. And the Predators do feel like they are kind of in the background, really. In fact, you don't really see a lot of them, and they're mostly cloaked in, sometimes they're kind of considered hallucinations, but this is not a bad comic. The only thing I feel, I do like the horror element of this comic. I really like how we've made the Predator this demon, more or less, that's come to reap the souls of the dead, because there were a lot of reports of people seeing ghosts and monsters during World War I. Now granted, most of that came from people who were suffering from PTSD, but I think it's a real cool way of how they managed to put that in perspective in this kind of storytelling. Again, the ending is, I feel like, just like the last page literally wraps up everything and just leaves with, oh my god, Predator helmet! Yeah. So, aside from the ending, this is a pretty decent comic. Not much else to say other than I do not recommend this for a younger reader. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, recommend this for a younger audience. This is for mature readers. There's nudity, there's sex, there's gratuitous amounts of blood and violence. I personally like the blood, I have no problem with all that, but then again, I'm kind of demoralized to everything, so... Anyway. So, there you go, guys. So you guys tell me, if anyone's read Predator, The Bloody Sands of Time, what did you think of it? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys later.